In this tutorial, we're going to show you how to create a parametric box. And then in subsequent tutorials, we'll show you how to take that box and use the laser box feature to set up the finger joints. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to create a new document. So I'm going to go into OnShape, and I'm going to either create a new part, or if I'm doing this in the fidget spinner activity, I'm just going to come down here to the plus symbol and create a new part studio. So the first things I want to do is I want to establish some variables, and we haven't done this before. But what we're going to do is we're going to set it up. So we're going to pick the dimensions that we want before we even draw anything. So I'm going to come over here to this tab over here. It's called my variable table. And what I can do is I can define specific key values of my part that I want to be able to maybe change or play with later on down the road. So the first variable I want is we're going to do box width, and then I'm to inside. You'll notice you can't use spaces when you do the variables, so I'm using underscores. Okay. And for this variable, I'm going to set the value to start with at 86 millimeters. Okay, I'll do the next one. Box length, inside. And I'm going to set this one to 92. And I'll explain a little bit more about where I'm getting my numbers from for these in just a little bit. Okay, and then box underscore height. All right, this one is going to be 18 millimeters. Okay, and then finally, I want plywood width, so or thickness. I'll go with thickness. There we go. And I know that the plywood that we're using on the laser is going to be 1.5 millimeters thick. So those are the four variables that I wanted to define. All right. And I can come by at any time and I can make changes in this table, and anything I define using these names, these variable names, will automatically update. And you'll see that in just a little bit. So for now, I'm going to click on the variable table tab and I'll close that. And I'm going to go to my top view, right click, and start a new sketch. I'm going to get rid of my overall, or my planes rather, sorry. And I'm going to hit N on my keyboard to view normal, or you can right click and view normal to sketch plane. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to my corner rectangle tool. G on the keyboard is the shortcut for this. And I'm going to start at the origin, and I'm just going to click and drag out. And then I'm going to come to this outside corner here, click and drag over. Come to the outside corner, click and drag down. And then come to this outside corner and drag it all the way over. So what I want is I want all of these to overlap on the outside edges. I'm going to hit escape. All right. You'll notice I haven't defined any dimensions for anything yet. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'll hit F on my keyboard, zoom to fit. And if you look at my variable table, right, I have all these dimensions in here. So let's start with our box width. All right. So I want to dimension from here to here. This is going to be the inside. So I'm going to go to my dimension tool or hit the D on your keyboard. Dimension from here to here. Click down and drop it. And instead of putting in a number, I'm going to start typing the word box. Notice how when I do that, it says, hey, you've got these variables defined. Which one did you want? And I'm going to go with my box width. Okay, and then I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard, and it's going to automatically resize. I'm going to go to my dimensioning tool again, or it's still active. So from here to here, okay, this is going to be my box length. So I'm going to start typing the word box. And you notice I don't have to go very far. Okay, and choose from my drop-down list, enter on my keyboard to confirm. All right. So now I want to dimension the distance or the thickness of the plywood that I'm using for these walls. So from here to here, come over, drop it. This is going to be my plywood thickness. So I type PL. All right. And I can select it from my list, hit enter. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing on all four of these rectangles that I created. PL, enter, enter, click. I know I'm going fast, but hopefully you're seeing that this is kind of a faster workflow because I don't have to type in all these numbers. So from here to here, okay, I'm typing in PL, and if that's the only one on the list, I can just enter twice, and there it is. So I fully defined this sketch, right? And everything is based off of these numbers that I put in my table over here. What if I want to change it? You know, what if I want the length to be the inside length to be 100 millimeters? I come over here 100 and it updates. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to go back to 92 and we'll play with that a little bit more later. You'll see this is a very powerful way of setting up your geometry. So now I'm going to green check. I'm done with the sketch. And now I want to start making some solids out of it. So I'm going to go to my extrude and I'm going to set the depth of my extrude. I'm going to click on that and I'm going to make this to the box height. So I hit B and then grab box height. The faces I want for this are going to be, I want to make sure I grab the corner when I grab these faces. Okay, I need these objects to overlap. Okay. When I draw them in here, let's close that for a minute so we got a little bit of extra real estate. You grab this one, and this one. Okay. And so now I'm going to green check. All right, so I got two sides. Now I'm going to go back to my original sketch. I'm going to show it again. I'm going to hide all of my parts that I just made. And I'm going to do that again. But this time I'm going to go up to face. Okay. And I'm going to set it up so that I show one of these just for a second here. The face that I want it to go up to is the top of this extrude right here. All right. So that's gonna dictate how far these sides extrude so they all match. Okay. So now I go back over here. I'll turn off visibility of all my parts. And I'm going to grab this corner here, here, and here. Oh, no, it didn't quite grab the way I wanted to. So I'll grab this one, and this one. That's curious. It's not quite working for me. So we'll come back to that in a minute. Clear these. Grab this one, and this one. Then I'll go over here. And I'm going to grab this one, and this one. Go to my face dialog box. I'll turn one of these back on, and then I'm going to grab the top face right here. Okay, make sure this is set to new. It's possible I need to flip my direction. Yep. So it was red because I needed to flip my extrusion direction. All right, so now that's done. And I'll green check. And if I did it right, I should have, when I look at this from the top, I should have 4 overlapping sides. Now, the overlapping corners is really important. In order for us to use the laser joint feature that we're going to use later, um, these two solids need to intersect and kind of occupy the same space. All right, so now before I go any further, I want to create a reference plane that I can use later. So I'm going to go to my planes, select that. I want to use mid plane as my option, and I want to create a mid plane that goes from the top to the bottom of one of these walls. All right, so you'll see now I have a plane that slices halfway through this. All right, so now I'm going to go turn off visibility of all my parts. Okay, I'm going to do another extrusion. This is going to be the bottom. All right, so I'm going to set this to plywood thickness for the depth. And then the face that I want, or faces, is going to be all of them. So I'm just going to click and drag a box to surround all of them. Okay, and then we'll check on the direction in a second. Okay, as with before, I want this to be a new extrusion. I don't want it to merge with anything. And if I turn on all my parts, if I did it right, when I turn on my visibility, you should see that it's intersecting with the bottom, and it is. So that's what I wanted. So the last thing I want to do now is I'm going to make a duplicate of that. All right, so I'm going to go up here to my mirror feature. Okay, I don't want to mirror apart. Okay, I want to mirror, well, actually I can mirror apart. That's not true. So yeah, we'll mirror the part. So the entity I want to mirror is part number 5. That's the bottom. And my mirror plane is going to be this mid plane that I just created earlier. So here's the real secret with all this. Okay, we went through and we created this parametric box. And we did it by defining all of our dimensions in a table of variables. So now if I want to say, you know what, I want this box height to be 25 millimeters. Boom, the whole box switches to 25 millimeters. I want the box length to be, let's say I want this to be 50 by 100. Okay, I can go in here and I can modify the values in the table. And because everything else is dictated by it, right? Maybe I bought some 3 millimeter plywood. Okay, it's going to automatically update for me. And that is a very powerful feature that you get from parametric modeling software like OnShape. And then later on in your schooling, you'll probably get into SolidWorks, which is a very popular software that does this. There are other CAD softwares that don't work the same way. Most notably, original AutoCAD, when I was starting out, did not work this way. And when you made an update to one thing, you had to go back and change everything else. Okay. But for me, this is where we're going to leave you. And then in the next video, we're going to show you how to create laser joint box out of this. So good luck.